Hey guys and gals, welcome back to another episode here at MindSpun, and this time I want to talk about something that my mom always used to ask me in my teenage years, which was, when you go to your punk shows, she would call punk anything, even if it was metal or rock or punk. To her it was just punk. When you go to your punk shows, what do you guys do? Do you guys dance? Or how do you express your feeling towards the music? And punk kids, rock kids, metal kids, we know that moshing, walls of death, circle pits, crowd surfing exists, but where does it come from? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this episode. Okay, so let's start off with what is moshing. Well, moshing is a style of dance in which participants push or slam into each other. Now, this typically is performed to aggressive live music, but it's not always the case, and it tends to happen in the center of the crowd, generally closer to the stage so you can feel the energy, and in an area in which we call the pit. And this is intended to be energetic and full of body contact. Now, most of us already knew this, and it was just a more detailed description of mosh, but let's get into the origin. Now, the term mosh came into use in the early 1980s in the American hardcore scene in Washington, D.C., and it was frequently spelled with an A, as in mash. And the first description that I saw of this was in the 1982 song Total Mash by the DC-based hardcore band Scream. Now, while doing some research, I found that the first band to put the term mosh on the map was Bad Brains. The vocalist HR used the term as stage banter and also in his lyrics. He used to say mash it up, which meant to go wild and frenzy with the music. And because of HR's Jamaican accent, fans heard the word with an O instead, the way we use it nowadays. Now, this is regarding the term, but when was the first time that someone was seen dancing this way and it was identified as moshing? Well, it appears that this could have originated in Orange County, California during the first wave of American hardcore. And by the time the song Caught in a Mosh came out by thrash metal band Anthrax, the word was already popular in hardcore and thrash scenes. And as most concert goers know, there are multiple variations of mosh for these types of genres, which includes pogoing, circle pits, and wall of death, just to name a few. And we also have the famous mosh ninjas that always make the show more enjoyable for the people that don't want to dance at all, which is of course sarcasm. Even though moshing is seen as a positive way for a fan to enjoy their favorite artist's music at a show and just get crazy with it, have some true enjoyment and just dance it all out, there has been some criticism as well due to moshing, since injuries have been reported in mosh pits, a few deaths have occurred in wall of death moshing as well, and of course this has led to some controversy and banning of this type of dancing at some shows. Now, I just want to say that moshing, like everything else in life, can be controlled and it can be really fun. And of course, if you're going to a punk and hardcore show, what do you expect? That's part of the fun, that craziness of just getting pushed around, maybe even get a fist in the face or in the stomach. I mean, who cares? You're at a punk and hardcore show, man. Have some fun, and as always, be safe and take care of the others around you. And that way, the people that want to mosh can continue to mosh. And if you don't want to mosh, just get the hell out of the pit. And if you're a mosh ninja, find a spot where you don't have to be an asshole and get in everyone's way. Maybe some people just want to watch the show and enjoy the music, So let's talk about another form of having fun during a show, which is called crowd surfing. And this is basically the process in which a person is passed overhead from one person to another, transferring the person on top of everyone's hands from one part of the venue to the front of the stage. Now, I gotta say, I know it's not that fun when you're the one supporting the crowd surfer, but if you have never done it at least once in your life, you gotta try it. I did it at a Killswitch Engage show, got to the front of the stage, fist bumped the guitarist, Adam Dukowitz, I love you, and I had a blast. But anyways, getting back to the subject in hand, where does crowd surfing come from? It appears that Iggy Pop may have invented crowd surfing at the 1970s Cincinnati Summer Pop Festival. But the first documented video of crowd surfing happened at the 1980 rock concert at Arizona State University by Bruce Springsteen during his performance of 10th Avenue Freeze Out. After Bruce Springsteen, there are reports of Peter Gabriel during the early 1980s crowd surfing during his performances of Games Without Frontiers by falling into his audience crucifix style and then being passed around. We can see actual photographic evidence of this in his rear sleeve of his 1983 album Plays Live. Peter Gabriel has talked about crowd surfing in interviews from the past, in which he mentions, "Iggy Pop had jumped into an audience prior to me, but he had never done that thing of lying on the hands and being carried around by the audience, and he took this inspiration from a game you do in a therapy group in which you have to fall backwards and trust the person behind to catch you." He thought that it was always interesting how to find a way to close the gap between the performer and the audience, and obviously he thought it was kind of scary as well, since there's an edge to doing this that you might never return to the stage, and in one piece. Just like moshing, crowd surfing has its upsides and downsides. One of its positive connotations is that it can help injured or sick participants find medical help quickly by going all the way to the stage and getting handed over to security. Now, a negative is that you can risk having personal items such as wallets or personal phones being stolen, shoes, clothes, etc., and this is known as mosh lobbing, which is usually done by the audience members that don't like crowd surfing, that don't like having your stinking body on top of their head. So to close off this video, let's talk about the safest way to have fun at a rock, punk, or metal show, which is headbanging. So where does headbanging come from? Well, let's first talk about what it is. So basically, headbanging is violently shaking your head in time with the music. But where does this come from? Headbanging has been common in Islamic devotional Sufi music traditions dating back centuries, such as the Indian subcontinent's 600-year-old Kawaii tradition. Now, how does this come about? Well, they often have performers and spectators induced into a trance-like state and headbanging in a manner similar to metal and rock concerts. So as we can see, headbanging goes way back, but where does it come about in rock music? Well, the origin of the term headbanging is kind of debatable. It seems that one of the possibilities was that it came about during Led Zeppelin's first US tour in 1969 during a show at the Boston Tea Party, where audience members in the first row were banging their heads against the stage in rhythm with the music. Furthermore, there's also footage of Led Zeppelin performing at the Royal Albert Hall on January 9th, 1970 on the Led Zeppelin DVD release in 2003, where we can see the same thing happening with the audience headbanging throughout the performance. We also have Ozzy Osbourne and Geezer Butler of Black Sabbath as being the first documented headbangers, as we can see in a footage of their gig in Paris in 1970. Lemmy from Motorhead, however, said in an interview on the documentary The Decline of Western Civilization to the Metal Years could have come from the band's name, as in Motorhead Banger. As you can see, it's kind of hard to pinpoint when headbanging first happened in rock and roll music, but what's really important is that it's still prevalent in shows today. We hope you enjoyed this video of where does mosh and crowd surfing come from, because it's something that we see every day at an electronic show, punk show, thrash show, hardcore show, whatever, any type of show, but we don't know exactly how it started. So now you can be that cool kid amongst your metal friends that knows where mosh and crowd surfing comes from. But as always, please hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, and let us know in the comment section what you would like to see next from our channel. Stay safe, guys and gals.